What makes someone family? Inspired by a reflection originally published July 2024 and revisited August of 2026. Hello, lovely soul. A couple of years ago, I wrote a newsletter about family. At the time, I explored the many different ways families look around the world and the role different generations can play within them. Recently, I came across that newsletter again and found myself thinking, I still love the idea behind it, but today I am much more interested in a different question. What actually makes someone family? The older and wiser, I hope, I get, the less convinced I am that family can be adequately described by a family tree. A family tree can tell us who we're related to. It can't necessarily tell us where we belong. And I believe there is a difference. Some of us are incredibly fortunate to have beautiful relationships with the people we were born to. Others have families that are a tad more, well, complicated. And sometimes the people who become our greatest source of love, laughter, encouragement, and support don't share a drop of our blood. They simply somehow became family. Maybe it's the friend you've known for decades who has witnessed so many versions of you that you can barely remember life before them. Maybe it's the neighbor who slowly became part of every celebration. The person your children called Auntie, even though technically she isn't. The friend who haven't you haven't spoken with for months. Yet when you finally do, you pick up exactly where you left off. It might even be someone who entered your life much later and somehow made you wonder, where have you been all these years? I find those relationships fascinating because nobody assigned them to us. There was no family tree telling us we belong together. We simply chose one another. I also don't believe family is necessarily determined by how often we see someone. There can be people we speak with every day and still never feel completely known by, and others we may see only occasionally who somehow feel like home the moment we're together. It could be that belonging has very little to do with proximity. Side note here, I have a friend who lives 4,000 kilometers away from me. She's a really good friend. We have so much in common and share so many bondings over the years that it's just truly amazing. And yet, I have not met her in person. So, there's a good example for you. Anyway, back to my reflection. It has more to do with how we feel when we're with someone. And it may look like this. Can I exhale here? Can I be ridiculous? Can I change my mind? Can I share something I'm proud of without making myself smaller? Can I have a difficult day without pretending everything is fine? Can I sit quietly without needing to fill every moment with words? Can I simply be me? Maybe those questions tell us more about family than DNA ever could. Of course, this doesn't mean biological family doesn't matter. For many of us, those relationships hold some of the deepest love we will ever experience. Shared memories, traditions, stories told so many times, everyone already knows the ending. The people who remembered versions of us that no longer exist. There is something incredibly special about that. But family can also be complicated. Sometimes love exists alongside disappointment. Some relationships change. There are times when distance becomes necessary. Other times, people we thought would always remain close take different paths. And other life, sometimes life brings completely unexpected people into this empty space. I don't think any of that makes family less meaningful. It simply makes the world family bigger than we once imagined. I have been thinking a great deal about belonging lately, about what happens when people gather, when strangers slowly stop being strangers, when someone walks into a room unsure whether they belong and discovers there is a chair waiting for them. That has become one reason why creating spaces for connection is so important to me. Because somewhere along the way, I've realized that belonging is not always something we are fortunate enough to find. Sometimes it's something we can actually create around a table, during a conversation, through a shared experience, in a community, one person making room for another. And perhaps that's how some families begin, not with ancestry or obligation, simply with someone quietly communicating, "There is room for you here." I wonder how many people in our lives would appear on our family tree, and how many others live quietly in our hearts without ever appearing on a single branch. Again, we can look at the friend, the mentor, the neighbor, the person who showed up during a difficult season, the one who makes us laugh, the one who truly listens, the one we can call when everything is falling apart, and perhaps equally important, the one we can't wait to call when something wonderful happens. Maybe family isn't only about who belongs to us, it can also be about where we experience belonging. And if we're fortunate, over the course of a lifetime, we may discover that family isn't one fixed circle we're born into. It can continue growing, changing, welcoming new people, making room, and occasionally pulling up another chair. As always, please remember, be kind to yourself and trust what has always been within you. Sending love and blessing, Diane. Soften the noise and remember your rhythm.